Our journey begins with perhaps a cautionary tale for our slammers. Now, who here among you has heard of a chemical by the name of MSG? Hands go up. And who can tell me what MSG stands for? Don't worry, I'll only be really upset if you get this wrong. Yes, sir?
Monosodium glutamate.
Monosodium glutamate. Put simply, it's a seasoning. And who would say that they would avoid MSG in their diets on a typical basis, right? Only a few hands. That actually kind of surprises me. Because most of us have been told our whole lives to avoid MSG, that it's bad for our health. But where did our hysteria surrounding this ingredient come from? Well, it all began in 1968 when a letter to the editor appeared in the New England Journal of Medicine. You might have heard of it. In it, the letter writer describes a peculiar set of symptoms that they would experience after eating certain foods, especially those at North American Chinese restaurants. The letter was signed by one Dr. Robert Homan Kwok, and it soon sparked a dialogue in the New England Journal of Medicine, with many other doctors writing in with their own anecdotal evidence of peculiar symptoms whenever they would eat Chinese food. It didn't take long for mainstream media outlets like the New York Times, you also might have heard of them, to pick up the story. And by the time those mass media outlets ran with it, it was too late. And America had a new fear. Chinese restaurant syndrome was terrifying the nation. And I'm not fucking with you, that's actually what it was called. And the impact of it was almost immediate. Many popular brands pulled MSG from their recipes, and even to this day, in Chinese restaurants all over Canada and the US, you can find a single line of text at the bottom of the menu, no MSG added. But up to this point in 1968, there had been no significant studies into the effect of MSG on the human body. A few years following the letter debacle, a study would be conducted in which baby mice would be injected with large amounts of MSG into their abdomens, the traditional method of consuming Chinese food. Those mice would show increased signs of obesity, stunted growth, and wonky brain development. What the mice couldn't tell us was how much better it had made them at math. Fast forward to 1990, when someone would finally take a look at the MSG subject and go, wait a second, that's not how we're supposed to study medicine, and would conduct a true double-blind study in which 71 adult human participants would be given a varied dose of MSG additive or a placebo over 5 days. Most showed no specific reaction to either, and among those that continued to report symptoms of Chinese restaurant syndrome, there was no bias towards those that had received the additive or those that had received the placebo. So up to this point, and a few more studies over the next few years would corroborate the finding that MSG was about as harmful to you as having too many bumper stickers, and that claims that it was were malarkey from the 60s. It's still been another 25 years since those studies, and MSG is still something that we're popularly think to avoid. But guess what? It's in a bunch of shit anyway, from heirloom tomatoes to Doritos and other processed chips, to mushrooms and Parmesan cheese. Who here likes sushi? That's right, I'm gonna ruin sushi for you. Well, MSG was originally extracted from seaweed in 1908 by Japanese scientists. So we're all out here stuffing our gobs unwittingly with MSG, but if you were to sit next to a salt shaker of it on your tables here, you probably would have avoided it. But some of the science suggests that maybe we shouldn't. MSG actually has a third the amount of sodium of traditional table salt, and using it in a recipe instead of table salt can reduce the salt needed by up to 40% while still maintaining the same flavor profile. So let it sink in for a moment. A single letter to the editor by one doctor influenced 50 years of North American eating habits and a few Simpsons jokes. And that's why it's so important for us to participate in events like tonight, so that we can help to educate each other, we can help temper each other, and we can help to teach each other to not use our words so flippantly. Something you can tell I take very seriously by the number of jokes I tried to cram into this slam. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.